I had an old friend. His name is Ashim. I met him during the initial days of my career. We became close friends as we had many common interests: art, culture, poetry, games, and traveling. But as demanded upon both of us, we started focusing on our career, and both of us were ambitious and wanted to grow very fast. Both of us did grow, but Ashim grew at a much faster pace than me. I had my share of ups and downs in life, but Ashim went up the ladder and had a global assignment, and he went to Europe. We lost our touch for many years, but met again when Ashim returned from abroad as a chief of a giant multinational company. I felt very proud of my friend and often enjoyed traveling in his swanky Mercedes car and, of course, joining him for the club dinners very often. One of those days, Ashim had shifted to his very posh bungalow leased by his company, and he invited me to visit his place on an evening. I was literally amazed and impressed to see the expanse of his posh facilities and the band of cooks and attendants moving around in the services of his family. As promised, Ashim was driving me back to my own small apartment where I stayed alone. My place was a good 20 kilometers away from Ashim's bungalow. Ashim was driving, and we were having a pleasant chat. I asked him something. Little that I knew how the question that I asked so innocently will turn the course of our future relationship. I asked Ashim, I am so fascinated by your prosperity. Trust me, I feel happy to see you as a successful CEO of your company. But I am your old friend. Please don't mind. I want to ask you a question. Can I? Of course, Ashim. Go ahead. Ashim replied with his characteristic warmth. And I asked him, Ashim, we started together from a very humble position. Both of us know our pasts very well. Would you please tell me how it really feels having gained so much of wealth, power, and prosperity through the last 15 years of your life? Ah, I am a contented man, Ashit. I am so happy and grateful. Frankly, I really feel great for all these achievements of mine. See, there is nothing in the world that I don't have today. A pretty wife, two lovely daughters, studying in the best school of the city, plenty of comforts and conveniences. Isn't it very satisfying, Ashit? I did not overlook the air of his pride, sharing his glory with me. And I said, you are so right, Ashim. But here is my curiosity. What if all this stuff that you have earned is lost as an unexpected turn of misfortune? It happens sometime in life, doesn't it? Tell me, how will it affect you, Ashim, then, if at all? I want you to feel that tough reality and exactly share with me how will you handle your life then? I threw this question straight to him, but very casually as a friend. Ashim slowed down his car and looked out through the window. There was silence for a few seconds. I kept my eyes on him constantly and found he was visibly uncomfortable and a bit disturbed too. However, as a seasoned top-ranking business manager, he knew how to camouflage his emotions and smartly handle the situation. After a minute's silence, Ashim replied, Ashit, you are an old friend of mine, so I cannot give a formal reply and avoid your question. Yes, I felt what you asked me to feel. And let me tell you frankly, I'm literally shocked and petrified. I never expected you to ask that question to me. A cold wave literally passed through my spine, Ashik. How can I how can I think of a life without all these even for a day? My family, my children will be on the street, Ashik. I shall be compelled to kill myself. I too was embarrassed and felt very sorry to see his reaction. But I had a first-hand learning of one of the most discerning realities of life. Before I share more about my learning, I must first let you know what happened then. The journey ended in silence. I bade goodbye to Ashim from the gate of my society. However, Ashim kept distancing himself from me from then. It took me time to realize that Ashim was avoiding me. In fact, we never met thereafter. He shifted to another metro city, and I tried to call him when I visited the city only to be convinced that Ashim was no longer interested to meet me. I lost my friend. But even after Ashim, I met many more people who, like my friend Ashim, were victims of what I call an ultra-urban obsessive syndrome. Excepted very few who, either by choice or compulsion, were less involved in the urban rat race for their name, fame, power, wealth, and prosperity, tend to become completely identified with their work, status, or position in the organizations and communities. Let me ask you to go back to your childhood, my friends. Why were we easier, happier, and healthier then? Our world was around parents, friends, schools, studies, and games. We were more rooted with the simpler, lighter, easier way of life. The soft and tender human aspects richly prevailed over life and activities those days. But as we grew older, we were to be willy-nilly exposed to the so-called external realities of society and the world. Now, the harder ways of life in the form of glamour, competition, money, sex, extravagance, ambition, and luxuries inevitably took us over. Our fears, struggles, challenges, needs, wants, and expectations influenced our minds so vigorously that we reconciled, accepted, and surrendered to those orders completely one day. In addition, there were media, television, advertisements, and publicities which seemed to work only on one motive, that is to ensure that we must identify our status and existence in the society by way of ownership of their brands. Today, most of us, like my friend Ashim, are helplessly identified with those so-called external identities and redefined ourselves by those definitions, designation, emblems, and symbols. We not only recognize others by those symbols, we have ourselves become those symbols. Yes, we are those symbols ourselves. Doctors, engineers, advocates, CEOs, psychologists, teachers, secretaries, artists, brigadiers, commissioners, and so on. The list does not exclude the strangest pride we attach to the emblems of introducing ourselves as Rotarians, Lions, etc., or even as Hindus, Muslims, Christians, or Sikhs. Many sales organizations have succeeded in making their employees and representatives forget themselves by defining themselves by calling as club members, various club members. Strangely, such clubs are named after the hierarchical corporate designations of their senior officers, like branch managers club, chairman's club, etc. The most important fact we have forgotten today is that we are not our designations, and our existence on this earth does not depend on our positions, or status. The only spiritual reality about who we are is that we are human beings, and our only essential identity or religion is humanity. The fact is, we were neither born as CEOs, and the associated perks which might have come to us by dint of having those positions do not define us. So we don't have to kill ourselves if those are lost someday. Let me invite all my friends today to detach ourselves from the erroneous and fictitious influence of external identities and accept the only eternal reality that we are called humans but are essentially spiritual beings. The moment I rediscovered this wonderful fact about you and me, I had my smile of sanity today. Let me wish you all a great and celebrating life ahead. Good luck.